All right, so prepping for a legal service manager interview, huh? I bet all those potential questions are feeling a bit overwhelming.
It's a big role. Definitely a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. And that's
Mm.
exactly why we did a deep dive into RoleCatcher.
Oh, nice.
Their career guides, interview guides, the whole shebang, really, just to pull out, um, I guess, the most valuable stuff that will help you absolutely nail this interview.
That's awesome.
Like, we're talking insider tips on those tricky questions, plus career insights, to make
Mm.
you stand out
Oh, I like it.
from the crowd. And of course, we'll sprinkle in how RoleCatcher's AI can help you craft those amazing responses.
Yeah, give you that edge, right?
Exactly.
Mm.
Before we jump into the questions, though, maybe we should just kind of paint a picture of what a legal service manager actually does.
Yeah, they're like the conductor, right, of the entire legal service office orchestra,
I love that.
making sure everything is running smoothly and efficiently.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So they manage a team of legal professionals, working with all kinds of different clients, and just making sure that everyone is providing top-notch legal services. It can be a demanding job, but the rewards are really significant.
And RoleCatcher's career guide highlights some pretty sweet perks, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're talking high earning potential, a diverse work environment, and tons of opportunity for advancement. I mean, it's a career path with a lot of possibilities.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it all starts with, nailing that interview.
Mm-hmm.
So RoleCatcher has highlighted some common questions that tend to pop up. Let's dive into the first one, which is a classic. Can you tell us about your previous experience in managing a legal services team? It seems pretty straightforward, but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just listing your past job titles.
Right.
They want to see some concrete evidence that you have leadership skills. So think about it. How have you managed teams in the past?
Hmm.
What were the sizes of those teams?
Okay, so they want to know that you can handle the responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. They want to know about the challenges that you faced and, most importantly, how you overcame them.
So instead of just rattling off a job description,
Right.
we really need to highlight specific achievements that showcase our leadership style.
Precisely. Think about situations where you took initiative or delegated tasks effectively, or maybe even, implemented processes that kind of streamlined operations. Maybe you introduced a new case management system that improved efficiency, or mentored a junior team member who went on to achieve great things.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, they're looking for a leader who can hit the ground running and make a real impact.
Got it. Now, what kind of follow-up questions might they ask based on our, initial response?
Well, they might dig deeper into a specific example, asking about the strategies you used to motivate your team or how you navigated a particularly challenging project.
Okay, so be prepared to, elaborate and provide specific details. Are there any major, don'ts when answering this question?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You want to avoid vague answers or exaggerating your experience.
Right.
Just be honest and specific. It's okay to talk about challenges,
Right.
but always frame them in a positive light.
Show that you learned and grew from those experiences.
Exactly.
Now, I know RoleCatcher offers some AI magic that can help us tailor our answers and practice our delivery.
I love their AI.
So what can you tell us about that?
Okay, so RoleCatcher's AI, it's pretty incredible. It can help tailor your CV or resume and cover letter to highlight the specific skills they're looking for in a legal service manager.
Oh, wow.
But here's the even cooler part, right? It provides AI-powered feedback on your practice answers, like to these interview questions.
Wow. Like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
I've also heard they offer video practice with analysis, which sounds really helpful.
Oh my gosh, yes. You can actually record yourself answering the questions and get feedback on your delivery, your tone, and even your body language. It's an amazing tool to refine your presentation skills and build confidence.
So listeners, if you want to really knock those interview responses out of the park,
Yes,
I highly recommend checking out RoleCatcher's AI features.
they're amazing.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. How do you stay current with changes in the legal industry and ensure your team is up to date as well? This one's all about showcasing your commitment to, continuous learning, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the legal landscape is constantly evolving, so demonstrating that you're actively keeping your finger on the pulse of the industry is essential.
Yeah, so they're not looking for someone who just knows the law,
Yeah,
but someone who's actively learning and growing.
precisely. This question is all about demonstrating your commitment to ongoing professional development. So, mention things like attending industry conferences, participating in webinars, or even just staying up to date with legal publications.
Yeah, it's about being proactive and, like, dedicated to staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's not enough to just learn it yourself, You need to bring your team along with you.
So showcasing those mentorship and leadership skills is important here.
Absolutely. Discuss how you share information with your team, maybe through regular training sessions or team meetings, or by encouraging them to pursue certifications like the Certified Legal Manager, CLM.
Those are great examples. What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask based on our response?
Well, they might be curious about a specific legal development that's impacting your work, or maybe how you've successfully implemented new knowledge within your team.
Okay, so be prepared to provide, like, real-world examples.
Yeah.
Anything to avoid when answering this question.
Don't claim to know everything.
Oh, right.
It's okay to acknowledge, areas where you're still learning. Showing that you're actively seeking information and always improving your knowledge base is key.
Makes sense. Now, let's dive into another common question. How do you manage competing priorities and ensure that deadlines are met? We all know those legal deadlines can be pretty intense.
Intense. They can be brutal.
Right.
This question is all about your organizational skills and your ability to manage your time effectively.
So what's the best way to approach this one?
Highlight your systems.
Okay.
Do you use a specific task management method or project management software? Do you prioritize tasks based on urgency or importance? Be specific. Talk about how you delegate tasks effectively
Got it.
and how you hold yourself and your team accountable for meeting those deadlines.
Okay, so think structured, think organized, and showcase those time management superpowers.
Exactly.
What about potential follow-up questions for this one?
They might ask about a specific time when you faced a tight deadline, or maybe how you handle unexpected delays.
Okay.
Be prepared to walk them through your process, demonstrating your ability to adapt and problem solve on the fly.
And things to avoid.
Oh, don't say you just work longer hours.
Right.
That suggests you might not be prioritizing effectively or delegating properly. Instead, focus on efficiency and your strategic approach to managing your workload.
Great advice. Moving on. Let's look at this question. How do you ensure that your team provides high-quality legal services to clients? Because at the end of the day, client satisfaction is key. Right.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about meeting deadlines.
Right.
It's about exceeding expectations and building a reputation for excellence, right?
Yeah.
They want to see that you have a clear vision for quality and that you can instill that vision in your team.
So how do we best demonstrate that?
Talk about your quality control measures. Do you have a system for reviewing work? Do you solicit client feedback regularly? Do you provide ongoing training and professional development opportunities for your team to keep their skills sharp? Paint a picture of a team that's dedicated to continuous improvement.
So it's about fostering a culture of quality.
Exactly.
Not just checking boxes.
Right.
What about potential follow-up questions?
They might ask about a specific instance where you identified and addressed a quality issue.
Okay.
Or how you handle client complaints. So,
Yeah.
Be prepared to give concrete examples.
And any major pitfalls to avoid with this one?
Don't imply that quality issues are someone else's problem, Take ownership and show that you're proactively addressing any potential areas for improvement.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears to a question that's a bit more about interpersonal skills. How do you handle conflicts or difficult situations within your team or with clients? Because let's be honest, those situations are bound to come up in any legal setting.
Conflict is inevitable in any workplace.
Right.
And the legal field is no exception, right? This question is designed to assess your conflict resolution skills and your ability to navigate challenging conversations.
So how do we approach this one without sounding like we're avoiding conflict altogether?
Be honest and specific. Share your approach to handling conflict, emphasizing active listening, empathy, and a commitment to finding solutions that benefit everyone involved. You can even mention, specific techniques like mediation or collaborative problem solving.
So it's all about highlighting those diplomacy skills. What about potential follow-up questions?
They might ask you to describe a specific conflict that you resolve, or how you handle a client who's, unhappy with the service provided. Be ready to share real-world examples that showcase your ability to diffuse tension and find common ground.
And pitfalls to avoid.
Definitely avoid bad-mouthing former colleagues or clients.
Yeah, good point.
Even if you were in the right, it never reflects well to speak negatively about others. Just focus on the positive outcomes that you achieved and the lessons you learned.
Okay, good point.
Yeah.
Before we move on, let's take a quick detour back to RoleCatcher's career guide. It emphasizes the importance of showcasing your capabilities through a professional portfolio.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
It's so important.
the portfolio allows you to go beyond your resume and give tangible evidence of your skills and accomplishments. It's a great way to differentiate yourself.
Absolutely.
It's a fantastic opportunity to tell your story in a more compelling and visually engaging way.
I love portfolios.
Okay, back to the interview questions. Let's tackle this one. How do you ensure that your team is meeting their performance goals and targets? Because in a results-driven field like law, meeting those targets is critical.
Absolutely. This digs into your ability to set clear expectations, track progress, and provide constructive feedback. They want to know that you're not just managing tasks, but that you're truly leading your team towards success.
So how can we showcase that leadership?
Highlight your approach to performance management.
Okay.
Do you use SMART goals, key performance indicators, KPIs? Do you have regular performance reviews? Talk about how you provide feedback and coaching to help your team members grow and achieve their full potential.
So it's about more than just setting goals.
Yeah.
It's about creating a supportive environment where your team can thrive.
Exactly.
What about potential follow-up questions?
Well, they might ask you to describe a specific time you helped a team member improve their performance, or maybe how you handle situations where someone is consistently falling short of expectations.
Okay, be ready to share those experiences.
Yes.
And pitfalls to avoid here.
Don't suggest that you use fear or intimidation to motivate your team.
Right.
That's not leadership. It's just ineffective. Instead, focus on the positive strategies you use to inspire your team to achieve great things.
Okay, let's move on to a question that's a bit more about your decision-making process. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision for your team or organization? Because tough calls are just part of the job, right?
Oh, they're unavoidable.
Yeah.
And this question is all about your ability to weigh options, consider the impact on various stakeholders, and ultimately make a decision that's in the best interest of the team or the entire organization.
So how should we approach this one?
Choose a specific example that showcases your decision-making skills, and your ability to handle pressure. Walk them through your thought process, highlighting the factors you considered, the potential risks and benefits, and how you communicated your decision to everyone involved.
So it's about showing a structured and thoughtful approach, even when faced with a tough choice. What about potential follow-up questions?
They might ask about the outcome of your decision or any lessons you learned from the experience. Be prepared to discuss both the successes and the challenges, demonstrating your ability to learn and grow.
And pitfalls to avoid.
Oh, yeah. Don't downplay the difficulty of the decision,
Right.
Or suggest that it was an easy call. They're asking about a difficult decision for a reason.
Right.
Be honest about the challenges you faced and the weight of the responsibility.
Great advice.
Oh, and don't forget about networking.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide really emphasizes how important it is to connect with people in your field.
So important. It's all about building relationships and tapping into that collective wisdom.
Exactly. Reach out to people who work in legal services, maybe even legal service managers,
Yeah.
and just, ask for informational interviews. You never know what insights or connections they might have.
Now, let's touch on a topic that's particularly important in the legal field. Ethics. They might ask, how do you ensure that your team is operating within legal and ethical guidelines? Maintaining integrity is absolutely crucial in this field.
Absolutely. This question is all about demonstrating your unwavering commitment to ethical conduct and your ability to create a culture of compliance within your team.
So how do we best showcase that commitment to ethics?
Talk about the specific steps you take to promote ethical conduct within your team. Do you have a code of ethics? Do you provide regular training on ethical considerations? Do you create a safe space for team members to, voice concerns or report potential violations? Paint a picture of a team that's not just aware of the rules, but truly embodies ethical behavior.
So it's about building that ethical foundation from the ground up.
Exactly.
What about potential follow-up questions?
They might ask about a specific ethical dilemma you faced or how you handle a situation where a team member has violated ethical guidelines. Be prepared to share real-world examples that demonstrate your ability to navigate those complex situations with integrity.
And any major pitfalls to avoid with this question?
Definitely don't suggest that ethical dilemmas are a gray area or that everyone does it.
Oh, yeah.
Take a firm stance on the importance of ethical conduct and show that you're prepared to address any violations swiftly and appropriately.
Great point. Now let's move on to our final question for this part of our deep dive. How do you measure the success of your team's legal services? Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to demonstrate the value we're providing, right?
Absolutely. This question is all about demonstrating your ability to set clear metrics for success,
Okay.
track progress, and use data to drive continuous improvement.
So, how can we showcase that data-driven approach?
Talk about the specific metrics you use to measure success. Is it client satisfaction, case outcomes, cost effectiveness? Be specific about the data you collect and how you use it to assess your team's performance.
So, it's about showcasing those analytical skills
Hmm.
and your ability to use data to tell a compelling story about your team's achievements. What about potential follow-up questions?
They might ask about a specific time you use data to improve your team's performance or how you handle situations where the data suggests that, there's room for improvement. Be prepared to share examples of how you've used data to drive positive change.
And any pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Definitely don't get bogged down in technical jargon,
Right.
or suggest that data is the only thing that matters. It's important to balance data with the human element, acknowledging the importance of things like client relationships, team morale, and the ethical considerations we discussed earlier.
That's fantastic advice. And that wraps up part one of our deep dive into the Legal Service Manager interview. We've covered some of the most common and challenging questions you might encounter, along with expert insights on how to approach them.
And remember, RoleCatcher is an incredible resource for anyone preparing for a job interview.
They have tools to help you refine your answers, practice your delivery, connect with your network, and so much more.
Definitely take advantage of everything they have to offer.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the Legal Service Manager interview. I'm ready to tackle some more of those tough questions.
Let's do it.
How about this one? How do you ensure that your team is meeting their performance goals and targets? I mean, this really gets to the core of leadership and accountability, right?
Absolutely. It's a question that pretty much any hiring manager would want to know.
Yeah, for sure.
They're really trying to gauge if you have a clear system in place for setting goals, tracking progress, and holding your team accountable.
Yeah, so it's not enough to simply say, we have goals. You need to show that you have a structured approach.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we showcase that structured approach effectively?
Well, you can start by thinking about the frameworks that you use. Do you set SMART goals?
Right.
Do you utilize key performance indicators or KPIs? Do you have regular performance reviews where you discuss progress and provide constructive feedback?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's important to not only understand these concepts, but also be able to articulate how you use them
Exactly.
effectively.
Yeah.
What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask based on our initial response?
Well, they might dig a little deeper into your goal setting process,
Okay.
asking how you involve your team in setting those targets, or maybe they'll ask about a time when you had to course correct
Oh,
when a goal wasn't being met. They want to see flexibility and problem-solving skills.
okay. So be prepared to share specific examples
Yes.
of how you've handled those situations.
Yes.
Are there any big don'ts when answering this question?
Oh, yeah. You want to avoid being vague
Okay.
or suggesting that you just rely on your team to, figure things out on their own.
Right.
You need to demonstrate, your leadership by explaining how you actively guide and support your team's performance.
Got it. Now, before we move on, I want to kind of circle back to something we touched on earlier. Continuous learning in the legal field.
Yeah, that's so important.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide really stresses this as being a crucial factor for success.
It really is. I mean, the legal landscape is constantly changing.
Huh.
So staying current it's vital for both you and your team.
It's a great way to demonstrate your dedication to professional growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of growth, RoleCatcher also suggests pursuing certifications like the Certified Legal Manager.
Oh, yeah, the CLN.
Or CLM, right,
Mm.
to enhance your career prospects.
Yeah, it looks great on a resume.
Yeah, those certifications show commitment to specialized knowledge, and they can definitely give you a competitive advantage in the job market.
For sure.
Okay, let's tackle another common interview question. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision for your team or organization? I have a feeling they're not asking about what we had for lunch.
Huh. Right. Yeah, no, this is a much weightier question.
Yeah, for sure.
They're trying to they're trying to get a sense of your decision-making process, especially when you're faced with a challenge.
Right.
So they want to see, can you weigh the options,
Hmm.
consider the impact on everyone involved,
Right.
and make a decision that serves the best interest of the team or organization.
So how should we approach this one? Should we share a story about a time we made a mistake?
Well, while it's okay to acknowledge past mistakes,
Yes.
I think the main focus here should be showing your ability to make thoughtful and well-informed decisions even when they're tough.
Okay, so think strategic, not self-sabotaging.
Exactly.
What kind of follow-up questions might they ask based on the example we share?
Well, they could ask about, the outcome of your decision,
Yeah.
the feedback that you received, or any lessons that you learned from the experience. So be prepared to discuss both the successes and the challenges. Showing that you're able to learn and grow from past decisions is key.
And are there any big, don'ts when answering this question?
Yeah, you definitely want to avoid downplaying the difficulty of the decision.
Right.
Or suggesting that it was an easy call.
Right. They're asking about a difficult decision for a reason.
Exactly. Be honest about the challenges that you faced, the responsibility that you felt, and how you navigated those pressures.
Great advice. Let's move on to a question that's a bit more about interpersonal skills.
Hmm.
How do you handle conflicts or difficult situations within your team or with clients? I mean, let's be honest, conflicts are bound to arise in any workplace,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the legal field.
Oh, conflict is inevitable.
Right.
And this question really assesses your conflict resolution skills
Mm.
and your ability to navigate those tough conversations, right? They want to see that you can stay calm, objective, and professional, even when things get a little heated.
Right. So how do we approach this one without, seeming like we shy away from conflict altogether?
Be honest and specific.
Okay.
Share your approach to handling conflict, emphasizing active listening, empathy, and finding solutions that benefit everyone involved. You could even mention specific techniques you use, like mediation or collaborative problem solving.
So it's all about highlighting those diplomacy skills.
Exactly.
What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask based on our initial response?
Well, they might ask you to describe a specific conflict that you resolved,
Yeah.
or how you handle a client who's unhappy with the service that's provided. Be prepared to share, real-world examples that showcase your ability to kind of ease the tension,
Right.
find common ground, and maintain those important relationships.
And any pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Definitely avoid bad-mouthing former colleagues or clients.
Yeah, good point.
Even if you were in the right, it never looks good to speak negatively about others. Instead, just focus on the positive outcomes that you achieved and the lessons that you learned.
Good point. Before we dive into our next question, I want to quickly highlight something that RoleCatcher emphasizes in their career guide, showcasing your capabilities through a professional portfolio.
Oh, I love portfolios.
Yeah.
Such a good idea.
A portfolio lets you go beyond your resume and provide tangible proof of your skills and achievements.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great way to tell your story in a more compelling way and really stand out from other candidates.
Absolutely. I love portfolios.
Okay, let's tackle another question. How do you ensure that your team is operating within legal and ethical guidelines? Maintaining integrity is absolutely crucial, especially in the legal field.
Oh, 100%. This question is all about showing your unwavering commitment to ethical conduct and, your ability to create a culture of compliance within your team.
Right.
The interviewer wants to see that you're not willing to compromise your values or cut corners, even when you're under pressure.
So how do we best showcase that commitment to ethics?
Well, you could talk about the specific steps that you take to, promote ethical conduct.
Right.
Do you have a code of ethics?
Okay.
Regular training on ethical considerations?
Uh-huh.
Do you, create a safe space for team members to voice concerns or report potential violations? Paint a picture of a team that's not just aware of the rules, but truly embodies ethical behavior.
So it's about building that ethical foundation from day one.
Exactly.
What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask to kind of go a little deeper?
Well, they might ask you about, a specific ethical dilemma that you faced, or how you would handle a situation where a team member violated ethical guidelines. So be prepared to share, real world examples that demonstrate your ability to handle these complex situations with integrity.
And are there any major pitfalls to avoid with this question?
Yeah, don't suggest that ethical dilemmas are a gray area
Oh, right.
or that everybody does it.
Right.
You really want to take a firm stance on the importance of ethical conduct and show that you're ready to address any violations swiftly and appropriately.
Great point. Now, let's move on to our final question for this part of our deep dive. How do you measure the success of your team's legal services? I mean, at the end of the day, you need to be able to demonstrate the value you're providing, right?
Absolutely. This question is all about showing that you can set, clear metrics for success, track progress, and use data to continuously improve.
So how can we showcase that data-driven approach?
Talk about the specific metrics you use to, measure success. Is it client satisfaction, case outcomes, cost effectiveness? Be specific about the data that you collect and how you use it to assess your team's performance.
So it's about showcasing those analytical skills and your ability to use data to tell a story about your team's achievements.
Exactly.
What about potential follow-up questions?
They might ask about a specific time where you used data to improve your team's performance,
Right.
or maybe how you handle situations where the data suggests that there's room for improvement. So be prepared to share examples of how you've used data to drive positive change.
And are there any pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Yeah, you definitely you want to avoid getting bogged down in technical jargon.
Right. Yeah.
Or suggesting that data is the only thing that matters.
Right.
It's important to balance data with the human element.
Yeah, of course.
Acknowledging the importance of, things like client relationships, team morale, and the ethical considerations that we discussed earlier.
That's fantastic advice. Speaking of advice, let's take a quick moment to highlight how RoleCatcher's AI can be a game changer when it comes to interview prep.
Oh, their AI tools are incredible.
I know.
You can get, AI-powered feedback on your practice answers.
It's like having a personalized coach.
Yeah, it's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket.
Yeah. Exactly.
They also offer video analysis to help you fine-tune your delivery and body language.
Yeah, I've heard that's really helpful.
It's a fantastic way to build confidence and make sure you're presenting yourself in the best possible light.
Those are powerful tools.
Yeah.
Listeners, don't miss out on these resources.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to where we left off.
Okay.
We were talking about measuring the success of legal services.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's one more point I want to emphasize here.
Okay.
When you're discussing success metrics, make sure to connect them back to the overall goals of the organization.
So it's not just about meeting, arbitrary targets.
Right.
It's about contributing to the bigger picture.
Exactly. Show that you understand how your team's work fits into the organization's strategic objectives. That demonstrates a higher level of thinking and strategic awareness.
That's a great point. It really shows that you're not just like a manager, you're a leader.
Right.
Who understands the importance of alignment and driving the organization forward.
Precisely.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this section. We talked about performance management, difficult decisions, conflict resolution, ethics, and even data-driven decision-making. Are you ready for our next question?
Oh, I'm ready. Bring it on.
All right. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about client relationships. A common question you might encounter is, how do you build and maintain strong relationships with clients? After all, client relationships are the lifeblood of any legal service organization.
Absolutely essential. This question is all about, demonstrating your interpersonal skills, your ability to understand client needs,
Right.
and your commitment to building long-term partnerships.
So how do we approach this question effectively?
Well, you could start by emphasizing the importance of, active listening.
Okay.
Clients want to feel heard and understood, right? So explain how you gather information about their needs, concerns, and expectations. You can also talk about, your communication style.
Yeah.
Do you prioritize clear and concise communication?
Right.
Do you make yourself readily available to answer questions and, address concerns? These are all important factors in building trust and rapport.
So it's about demonstrating that you're genuinely invested in their success.
Exactly. You can also talk about specific strategies that you use to, maintain relationships. Maybe you have a system for regular check-ins or client feedback surveys, or perhaps you host client appreciation events or networking opportunities,
Those are all great examples. What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask to kind of dig deeper into our approach?
Well, they might ask about a specific client relationship that you built or how you handle challenging clients. So be prepared to share examples of how you've successfully navigated those situations. They might also ask about your, experience with client billing or fee arrangements, as these are important aspects of client relationships.
So be prepared to discuss the financial aspects of client relationships as well.
Exactly.
Any major pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Yeah, you want to avoid bad-mouthing past clients, or speaking negatively about their decisions or behavior.
Yeah, makes sense.
Even if you had a challenging experience, just focus on what you learned from it
Right.
and how you've grown as a result.
That's great advice. It's all about maintaining professionalism and, uh, you know, demonstrating your ability to handle even the most difficult client interactions with grace. Now, let's move on to a question that's often asked in leadership interviews. Can you describe your leadership style? This is a chance to kind of showcase your self-awareness and your approach to leading a team.
It's a crucial question, and it's an opportunity to highlight your strengths and how you inspire and motivate others. And then there are so many different leadership styles out there, and there's no one size fits all approach, right? The key is to be authentic and to describe a style that genuinely reflects who you are as a leader.
So how do we approach this question in a way that's both, authentic and compelling?
Well, I would start by thinking about what values are most important to you as a leader. Do you prioritize collaboration, transparency, innovation, or accountability?
Right.
Once you've identified those core values, think about how those values translate into your, leadership style.
Yeah.
Do you prefer a hands-on approach, or do you empower your team to make decisions independently?
Yeah.
Do you focus on building consensus, or are you more, directive in your decision making?
So it's all about painting a clear picture of how you approach leadership.
Exactly. And don't forget to back up your statements with examples.
Right.
Share specific situations where you've demonstrated your leadership style in action.
What about potential follow-up questions?
Hmm.
What might they ask based on our description of our, leadership style?
Well, they might ask about a time when, your leadership style was challenged,
Sure.
or how you adapt your approach depending on the situation. They want to see, flexibility and adaptability. They might also ask about your experience with mentoring or developing team members.
So be prepared to discuss how your leadership style kind of fosters growth and development within your team.
Right.
Any pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Yeah, you want to avoid using jargon or buzzwords that sound, impressive but lack substance.
Yeah. Okay.
Just be genuine, be specific, and most importantly, be yourself.
Great advice. Let's take a quick break from interview questions and talk about a resource that can help you prepare.
Ooh. Yeah.
RoleCatcher's AI. Their AI is a game changer. It can help you tailor your CV, resume, and cover letter to perfectly match the specific requirements of the legal service manager role. It's incredible.
It's like having a personalized career assistant.
Exactly.
I love it.
And it doesn't stop there. Their AI can also provide feedback on your practice answers to, these interview questions.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's like having an expert interviewer giving you personalized tips and guidance.
Exactly.
And they even offer video practice with analysis to help you, perfect your delivery and body language.
Oh, wow.
It's an incredible way to build confidence and, make sure you're presenting yourself in the best possible light.
Love it.
Those are amazing tools, listeners. Don't miss out on these resources. Okay, back to our interview questions. Let's talk about delegation.
All right, let's do it.
A question that you might hear is, can you describe your approach to delegation? What strategies do you use to delegate tasks effectively? Delegation is a critical skill for any leader, especially in a role like legal service manager.
So important.
You're absolutely right. Delegation is not just about assigning tasks. It's
Yeah.
about, empowering your team, developing their skills,
Right.
creating a more efficient and effective workflow.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we demonstrate that we understand the nuances of delegation?
Well, I think, you should start by explaining why delegation is important.
Okay.
Don't just say it frees up my time, right?
Yeah.
Talk about, how it benefits the team, by fostering ownership, accountability, and professional growth.
Mm-hmm.
Then describe your specific approach.
Okay.
Do you clearly define the task?
Right.
the desired outcome,
Okay.
and the deadline. Do you provide the necessary resources and support?
Huh.
Do you establish clear communication channels and, check-in points?
It's about setting your team up for success.
Exactly. And don't forget to, discuss how you monitor progress
Yeah.
and provide feedback. Delegation isn't a set it and forget it task.
Right.
It requires ongoing communication and support.
That's a great point. What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask to kind of probe a bit deeper into our delegation strategies?
Well, they might ask about a time that you delegated a task that didn't go as planned,
Right. Right.
or how you handle situations where a team member's, struggling with a delegated assignment. Be prepared to share examples of how you've, dealt with these challenges and what you've learned from those experiences.
So be ready to discuss those learning moments
Right?
and how you've refined your approach to delegation over time.
Exactly.
Any major pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Yeah, you definitely want to avoid suggesting that you delegate tasks that you just don't want to do,
Right.
or that you use delegation as a way to, to avoid responsibility. Delegation should always be about empowering your team and creating a more effective workflow.
It's about shared responsibility and collective success.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to a question that's closely related to delegation. How do you motivate your team? This is a chance to show your understanding of what drives people and how you create a positive and productive work environment.
This question is all about demonstrating your emotional intelligence
Mhm.
and your ability to connect with your team on a human level. It's not just about setting goals and targets. It's
No.
about understanding what motivates each individual and creating an environment where they feel valued, supported, and inspired.
So how do we approach this question in a way that's both, authentic and insightful?
Well, you can start by, talking about your philosophy on motivation.
Right.
What do you believe are the key drivers of a highly motivated team? Is it recognition, autonomy, professional growth,
Mm.
or a sense of purpose?
Right.
Once you've established, your philosophy, then share some specific examples of how you put it into practice.
So let's get specific. What are some tangible examples of how we might motivate a team?
Do you regularly acknowledge and celebrate achievements?
Okay.
Do you provide opportunities for, professional development and advancement?
Right.
Do you create a culture of open communication and feedback?
Mm-hmm.
Do you involve your team in decision-making processes? These are all examples of how you can create a motivating and engaging work environment.
It's about creating a culture where people feel like valued and empowered.
Exactly.
What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask to kind of explore our motivation strategies in more detail?
Well, they might ask about a specific time where you motivated a team member who was struggling.
Okay.
Or how you handle situations where morale is low. So be prepared to share examples of how you tackled these challenges and the positive outcomes that you achieved.
So be ready to discuss those times when you've had to rally your team and, inspire them to achieve great things.
Exactly.
Any major pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Yeah, you want to avoid suggesting that, that you motivate your team through fear or intimidation.
Right.
That's a counterproductive approach that'll only damage morale and trust.
Right.
Instead, focus on positive reinforcement, recognition, and creating a supportive and encouraging work environment.
Great advice. It's about fostering a culture of, collaboration and mutual respect.
Absolutely.
Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about change management. A question you might encounter is, how do you approach change management within a legal service organization? Change is inevitable in any industry,
Oh, it's constant.
right? And the legal field is no exception.
Yeah, it can be challenging though,
Yeah, of course.
especially in a field that's often steeped in tradition and precedent.
All right, so this question is all about demonstrating your ability to lead your team through transitions, like effectively, right? Minimizing disruption and ensuring buy-in from, all the stakeholders.
Exactly.
So how do we showcase our change management skills in a way that, instills confidence?
Well, I would start by acknowledging that change can be difficult. Don't try to sugarcoat it
Right.
or pretend that everyone will be, instantly on board.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Instead, demonstrate empathy and
Mm.
understanding of the potential challenges and anxieties that that change can bring.
Yeah.
And then explain your specific approach to managing change.
Okay.
Do you prioritize communication and transparency?
Mm.
Do you involve your team in the planning and implementation process?
Yeah, right.
Do you create a clear roadmap
Right.
with milestones and timelines? These are all essential elements of effective change management.
It's about creating a sense of clarity and direction during times of transition.
Exactly. And don't forget to highlight your ability to adapt and adjust your approach as needed.
Yeah.
I mean, change is rarely a linear process.
Yeah.
There will be bumps along the way, and you need to be able to navigate those challenges and keep the team moving forward.
So flexibility and resilience are key here.
Absolutely.
What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask to kind of, delve deeper into our change management experience?
They might ask about a specific change initiative that you led
Okay.
and the challenges that you encountered, or how you handle, resistance to change. Be prepared to share, real world examples that showcase your ability to lead your team through transitions effectively, even when those transitions are difficult.
So be prepared to discuss those times when you had to, navigate choppy waters and guide your team to calmer seas.
I like that analogy.
Any major pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Yeah, definitely avoid suggesting that that you force change upon your team
Right.
without their input or buy-in.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a recipe for disaster. Instead, you want to emphasize collaboration,
Right.
communication,
Mm.
and a shared understanding of the need for change.
Great advice. It's about creating a shared vision and working together to achieve it. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this section, from motivation and delegation to client relationships and change management. Let's take another quick break and revisit RoleCatcher's AI resources.
I love those AI tools.
I know, me too. Their AI tools are incredibly valuable, especially for interview preparation.
Yeah.
They offer AI-powered feedback on your practice answers. Imagine being able to rehearse your answers
Oh, wow.
and get instant feedback.
That would be a game changer.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like having a virtual interview coach right at your fingertips.
Exact.
And their video practice with analysis feature.
Oh, I love that one.
I know.
It's phenomenal.
You can record yourself answering these tough questions
Mm-hmm.
and get detailed feedback on your delivery, your tone, your body language.
Oh, that's so helpful.
It's a fantastic way to refine your presentation skills and build confidence.
For sure.
Listeners, don't miss out on these amazing tools.
Okay. All right.
Let's talk about managing a team of legal professionals.
Yeah, this is where your understanding of the legal field
Right.
and your ability to lead a team of, specialized experts, it really comes into play.
A question you might encounter is, how do you manage a team of legal professionals, considering their unique skills and expertise? This is a chance to demonstrate your knowledge of the legal profession.
Right.
And your ability to leverage the strengths of, your team members.
You're right, It's about recognizing that that legal professionals aren't interchangeable cogs in a machine.
Right.
They possess specialized knowledge, skills, and experience
Mm-hmm.
that need to be carefully considered and utilized.
So how do we approach this question in a way that kind of highlights our understanding of this dynamic?
Well, I think I think you should start by discussing your appreciation for the diverse skill set within a legal team. Talk about the importance of of understanding each team member's strengths and weaknesses.
Oh.
Then explain how you utilize those strengths
Right.
to create a cohesive and high performing team.
So it's about maximizing the collective talent of the team.
Exactly. You can discuss specific strategies like assigning tasks based on expertise,
Right.
encouraging collaboration and knowledge sharing, and
Yeah.
providing opportunities for professional development that align with individual career goals.
These are all great examples.
Yeah.
What about potential follow-up questions? What might they ask to explore our approach to managing a legal team in more detail?
They might ask about a time when you had to manage, a conflict
Oh, okay.
between team members with different perspectives, or how
Mhm.
you handle, um, situations where a team member is struggling to keep up with the demands of.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We are wrapping up our three-part special on how to absolutely ace that legal service manager interview.
I can't believe we're already at the end. It feels like we just started.
Yeah, right? We've covered so much ground, though. Yeah. From those tricky interview questions to those really valuable career insights
Yeah.
from RoleCatcher.
So much good stuff in there.
So much good stuff. But before we send you off from the interview battlefield, I think we have a few more nuggets of wisdom to share.
Oh, always good to have a little extra.
Always good to have a little extra.
Mhm.
So far we focused a lot on the what, right?
Mhm.
The specific questions, how to answer them. But I think it's also really important to talk about the how. Like, how do you present yourself? How do you uh, how do you create that lasting impression that really sets you apart from other candidates?
Yeah, that's so important. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it, right?
It's all about those
It's all
vibes.
about the vibes.
Exactly. So first and foremost, I think enthusiasm is key. You
Mhm.
really want to let your passion for the legal field shine through.
Gotta be genuine, right?
It has to be genuine, yeah. Nobody wants to hire someone who seems bored or disinterested in the role.
Exactly.
But how do we show that enthusiasm without, going overboard?
Yeah.
How do we find that sweet spot?
I think it's really about being authentic,
Okay.
Be engaged, let your personality come through, share some anecdotes, that illustrate your passion for the work, talk about why you're drawn to this specific role, and this organization.
Okay, so it's about showcasing that genuine connection to the work. What else should we keep in mind when it comes to presentation?
Confidence is key. You gotta believe in yourself and your abilities, stand tall, make eye contact, speak clearly and concisely, project that you're meant to be there.
That's so important.
Yeah.
But what if we're feeling those pre-interview jitters? Any tips for calming those nerves?
Remember, preparation is your secret weapon. The more prepared you feel, the more confident you'll be.
Oh, that's a good point.
So practice your answers, research the company, plan your outfit in advance, take all the guesswork out of it.
Those are great practical tips. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI tools can be a huge help with all that preparation, right?
For sure.
They offer AI-powered feedback on your practice answers and even video analysis to help you refine your delivery.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Definitely leverage those tools. They can really help you, polish your presentation and boost your confidence.
Now, beyond preparation and presentation, there's one more thing I want to touch on. Asking thoughtful questions.
Oh, yeah, it's a two-way street,
It
right?
is. It's not just about answering their questions. It's also about showing that you're curious and engaged.
Exactly. Asking insightful questions, shows that you've done your research and that you're genuinely interested in the role in the organization.
So, what are some examples of questions that might really impress those interviewers?
Don't be afraid to ask about the company's culture, their vision for the future, or even, the challenges that they're facing. These types of questions really show that you're thinking beyond the day-to-day tasks and that you're interested in the bigger picture.
Those are great suggestions, and I know RoleCatcher also emphasizes the importance of networking. How can our listeners kind of leverage their network to gain insights and potentially even land an interview?
Oh, networking is so powerful. Reach out to people in your network who work in the legal field or who might have connections to the organizations that you're interested in. Don't be afraid to, ask for informational interviews or advice on navigating the hiring process.
So it's about building relationships and tapping into that collective wisdom. Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on one final piece of advice from RoleCatcher's Career Guide, the importance of continuous learning.
It's a theme that's been woven throughout our discussion.
It has, and for good reason.
Yeah.
The legal field is constantly evolving, so staying current is really essential for long-term success.
Absolutely.
So how can our listeners demonstrate that commitment to continuous learning during the interview process?
Well, talk about your, professional development goals. Mention any certifications that you're pursuing, conferences you've attended, or even, books that you've read that have helped you stay ahead of the curve.
Right.
It shows that you're proactive and invested in your professional growth.
Fantastic advice. So what does this all mean? We've armed you with insights into tackling those really tough interview questions, tips for presenting yourself with confidence, and strategies for showcasing your passion for the legal field.
We've given you everything you need.
You are ready to step into that interview room and shine. Remember, preparation, confidence, and genuine passion for the work. Those are your keys to success.
Didn't have said it better myself.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher is your secret weapon. Use their AI tools to refine your answers, practice your delivery, connect with your network. They've got your back every step of the way.
Now go out there and make it happen. We're confident you've got what it takes to land that dream job.
That's it for our deep dive into the Legal Service Manager interview. We hope you found these insights valuable. Remember, believe in yourself, prepare thoroughly, and let your passion shine through. Good luck.